I hereby declare the 2026 Madison School District deliberative session come to order. My name is George Epstein. I am your moderator, and if we could start by asking you all to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And also, before we go barreling into things, I'm going to ask, as soon as she gets settled, our chair of the Budget Committee to introduce her team. Sharon? Let's see if those are on.
Sorry, Jake. You don't care. Bye.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Schilling. I'm the chair of the Advisory Budget Committee. To my left is Nan Bartlett, who is a member. Jake Bowie is a select board representative. We are missing tonight Joe Dame, who is the vice chair. He's unable to be here. But also Deb Parsons sits on our board with us, and she is a school board member representative to the ABC.
Thank you. And Jim Curran, chair of the school board, if you could introduce your whole squad of people to my right.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
That's pretty good.
All right. So to my left, I have Asia Wellinghurst. She is the school district clerk. I'm Jim Curran, school board member. Ed Robinson, school board member. Deb Parsons, school board member. Jeremy Cox, school board member. Sherry, Stackpole, school board member, sorry. Mike Whalen, superintendent. Heather Sherwood, business administrator for SU 13. Megan Glynn, attorney for the Madison School District. And down to the floor, we have Lisa Dubois, special services director. Heather Woodard, elementary school principal. Luke Bergeron, who is our IT director for SU 13. And our recording secretary is Janet Cox.
Very good, thank you. We are using the SB2 form of government for the Madison School District as opposed to the traditional town meeting format. We have a traditional town meeting, but our school district is under SB2. What that means is tonight, we're not going to make a final determination with regard to any of the warrant articles, but we're going to decide what will appear on the ballot on March 10th when we have the town voting day. So the job tonight is to establish what will actually appear on the ballot. You have the freedom to do the things that you would be able to do at a regular town meeting in the sense that you're able to discuss, debate, amend, and otherwise change as needed the articles with some exceptions. And I'll talk about those when we come to them, those that by law are not permitted to be altered in terms of the language or some of the specifics associated with them. So we're going to barrel right into page 2 in your book. You will see school warrant articles. And by the way, at the very back, page 91, are the rules under which I run the meeting, the moderator rules. They're magnificent, perfectly written and drafted, but if you disagree with how I'm running the meeting in any way, you simply say, point of order, Mr. Moderator, and you make a motion to overrule the moderator with regard to how he is running the meeting. And if your fellow voters vote that way, then we will do it your way and not mine. It's your meeting. I am just here to be helpful. So if we turn to the warrant on page 2, what you'll see is at the top a paragraph labeled first session. That's what we're here to do on February 2nd. We'll have a second session, which is the voting day on March 10th. That's what that second heading references. And then Article 1 is simply those people who have signed up or people who are running by write-ins, the people who you can vote for on March 10th for the open positions, clerk, moderator, treasurer, and 2 members of the school board. So we don't discuss those here today. There will be a candidates night so that you can meet candidates for both the school district and the town on March 5th, Mr. Curran, I believe, but he's going to confirm it. And so we will tell you what the time and date is so that you can attend that. Having said all that, if you take a look at Article 2, this is where we start to get to work, and this is the big one. I'm going to read it to you, and we'll go from there. The average cost per pupil for the preceding year is calculated in accordance with RSA 189.75 1A is $35,063. Our English language arts proficiency, 52%. I assume that's an average across years. Math proficiency, 29%. Science proficiency, 31%. That is now standard information in front of the basic operating budget that will appear in your books, as far as I know, every year until somebody changes the rules. The actual article, shall the school district raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $7,343,153, of which $400,000 is for the estimated grant expenditures that have an offsetting revenue of $400,000, resulting in a zero tax impact. That's followed by a question mark. And so if that confused you, we'll hear what that explanation is. The school board recommends this appropriation 410. The advisory budget committee does not recommend this appropriation 500. Should this article be defeated, the default budget, that's another function of SB2, rather than make a final decision tonight that we'll be voting at the polls. If at the polls on March 10th, the number that we vote on is defeated, here, the number we vote tonight is defeated, then the default budget will be $7,114,497,000, of which $400,000 is for estimated grant expenditures that have an offsetting revenue of $400,000, resulting in zero tax impact, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the school district or by law. The governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. So what we're going to do is consider warrant Article 2, and basically we're looking at the $7,343,153 number. We can amend that number. You can amend that number up or down. Whatever the final number is, that's the number that will appear on the ballot on March 10th. And if that number is defeated, then the second number in bold print, 7,114,497, is the amount of money the school board will have available to it for the next year, unless you choose or someone chooses to enter into a second special meeting. And in order to discuss this, which you'll note is not being moved and seconded, because we're not going to vote on it tonight. We can vote to amend it, but we can't actually vote on the article tonight. That's for March 10th. So if you would look at page 52, did I get that right? Page 52 in your book, you'll see the summary of the budget, and we're going to look at it using those lines on page 52 to guide us through the discussion and any amendments we might want to make. You can make amendments to the bottom line, that $7 million number. You can also make amendments to the numbers that appear on page 52. The school board isn't legally bound to spend the money exactly how you've modified the lines, but generally they've behaved well and followed the intent of the voters. So we're going to look at the $7 million, and we're going to look at it by those rows. And I'm going to ask Chairman Curran and anyone he identifies to discuss these lines as we come to them. If you note, it is the column that's the third from the right that says 2026-27 proposed that we are here tonight considering, the $1,940,436 number. Mr. Curran?
I already have a question.
Okay.
I'm just curious where these numbers came from, the LEA proficiency, the math proficiency, in the beginning.
Okay?
Is that okay to ask that now?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's part of the article.
Just curious.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
And is this something that the whole state does, or is it just you guys decided to put this in here?
This is now standard, I think, across the state.
Okay, just curious.
And I
Okay.
think perhaps Superintendent Whalen can point us to the page or pages where you have the more detailed.
I don't mean to make more work for you here.
Performance
Just-
numbers. No, that's
Okay.
good. So can you direct us? There's a page with a lot more detail about the proficiency percentages and some history of those percentages.
Good evening. Yes, I believe on page 29, you will find a pretty comprehensive assessment score with benchmarks and state mandated testing. And Sarah, to your point, in Article 2, it's now an RSA that all schools will have to report prior to their operating budget the ELA, math, and science proficiency. So that's a recent piece of legislation.
So you have a pretty and highly detailed page here. Not unreasonable if you have additional questions about that. But we are back to page 52, and we're looking at salaries and wages. And Mr. Kern, would you like to speak first?
Sure. Just want to go over some brief, let's see, can you hear me now? There we go. Just some brief, targeted cuts were made over the, to limit the overall budget increase while protecting core instructional services. One paraprofessional position was eliminated, and one position was repurposed to the preschool program. One teaching position was eliminated in 5-6, and one teaching position was eliminated in K2. One was also repurposed to the preschool program. The media teaching position was reduced in here from 100% full-time to 0.8. So basically 1 day a week down on that position. Additional reductions that would further reduce staff positions were avoided, making it increasingly difficult to recruit and retain qualified educators. In the midst of statewide staffing shortage, maintaining consistent certified staff is critical to student success. Wages increase reflects contractual obligations per the collective bargaining agreement and per board policy for non-CBA or existing contracts. And then health insurance, we can talk next.
Okay. Introduce yourself first.
Sarah DiMartino, how's it going? I'm just curious how you came up with the reasoning why you would cut the position to, I'm talking about Ms. Flanagan's position specifically, why you would cut that position of all of them.
And as a general rule, we're going to avoid using names of employees, but go ahead.
So the media position is the one you referred to being cut. There was a lot of discussion around time, usage. Students, we're in a declining enrollment right now, and we really looked long and hard trying to figure out where the best places we could do with the least amount of overall impact. And like,
What is the financial impact that reduction would be?
$27,000
For the 1 day?
for the 0.2%, yes.
And as a general rule, if you do have follow-up questions, the reason to stand by the mic is so that the viewers at home, of which we have thousands, will be able to hear your comments and questions. Again, any further discussion? I'll turn to the Budget Committee as well.
Sorry, just me again, being a pain in the neck. So, Heather, do you happen to know how much that is impacted from each family, like 27,000? I know, like, now I'm making you do all this math. I'm just curious to see, because correct, yes. Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you.
And you'll let us know, or do you have it almost there? Okay, that's fine. Budget Committee, do you have any comments on line 100? No, I'd like to go next here.
The Budget Committee voted unanimously to reject this number. One of the issues, and you can read it in the Advisory Budget Committee summary, is that we felt that there was more work to be done, And we wanted to applaud and recognize the fact that the school board did suggest reducing some positions that seemed, in a declining enrollment, we had the ability to cut without being detrimental to the student's education. But we did feel that, especially where the paras were concerned, that there was more work that could be done. And we had a very lengthy discussion between the school board and the advisory budget committee in 2 different meetings, 3 different meetings, I believe, about the workload of paras versus the requirement for them and how many we would need. And we still felt that there was room to have reduced another position. We recognize that the school board talks about being able to retain and attract qualified and certified teachers and paras and individuals. However, we also have to balance that with the economic, the economic reasonableness of a $7 million school budget for 82 students. Next year, the student population will drop by an additional 20 students. We are in a declining enrollment. The budget has not necessarily reflected the fact that that budget or that population is reducing as fast as it is, and we feel that there are more areas that can be addressed and should be addressed.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator.
Let's go, well, yeah.
Just a
Go ahead.
clarification,
Yeah.
because Ms. Schilling said a $7 million budget for 80 students.
Right.
That's elementary school, that doesn't, so this budget includes our high school and middle school students as well.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rodriguez. I'm a resident and also the school nurse here. Thank you for clarifying that, because I thought the budget was for both the middle school and the high school students, which is much more than 84 students. So for paraprofessionals, I know they're often a target, but that position is one of the most cost-effective ways to ensure a school district meets its obligations while maintaining high educational standards. Cutting these roles often creates a domino effect of negative outcomes that far outweigh the temporary savings on a balance sheet. I'm going to refer to them as paras, but they're paraprofessionals, are often the primary providers on the one-to-one or small group support that is federally mandated by individual education programs or IEPs and Section 504 plans, which come from the Americans with Disabilities Act. Schools are legally required to provide a free, appropriate public education. If a para is cut and a student's IEP is not followed, the district becomes vulnerable to expensive due process hearings and lawsuits. The cost of a single legal settlement or an out-of-district placement for one student often exceeds the annual salary and benefits of multiple paraprofessionals. An out-of-district placement happens when we cannot meet the needs of an IEP or a 504 for a student and have to send and pay for them to attend a different school who can. Unfortunately, we have roughly 4 to 5 of these students in each classroom currently. The goal, that's for next year, projected. The goal of modern education is to keep students with diverse needs in the general education classroom whenever possible. This is not changing anytime soon, and if it does, it will need to be changed at the government level, not ours. Paras act as a bridge that allows students with disabilities or behavioral challenges to remain in a standard classroom. Without this support, many students would require more restrictive and more expensive specialized settings legally, and this pulls them from their peers and increases the town's transportation and tuition costs. It also, having a paraprofessional in the classroom and in every classroom boosts teacher effectiveness and retention. In a classroom, the teacher cannot be everywhere at once. While the teacher delivers the core lesson, the para can provide immediate intervention for students who are falling behind.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. So we do have a 2-minute limit according to the rules. Are you nearly done?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you finish up? And if you can just slightly turn down the volume, we are
I can
getting a little
stand
feedback up here too. So, yeah,
All right.
please.
This
Sorry.
prevents the class from being ignored while the teacher handles high-need situations. This reduces teacher burnout, which is at an all-time high currently. Removing this classroom support increases the administrative and behavioral load on teachers, leading to higher turnover in a market where replacing a qualified teacher is both difficult and costly. Their paras are also the first line of defense in managing classroom climate and physical safety. They are trained to recognize triggers and de-escalate behaviors before they turn into major disruptions or safety incidents.
Thank you. Thank you. Are people warm in here? Yes. So if we can put the head temperature controller in charge, could you crank it down a little bit, I guess? Thank you. It was cold a little while ago. My apologies. I can be overruled if you want to vote to overrule me. Please come right up to the microphone if you wish to speak.
Mr. Moderator.
Linda Haver, am I close? Linda Haver.
Good, perfect.
I want to address both issues, the issue on paraprofessionals and the issue on the position being cut by a day, but I'm going to start with the paraprofessionals. I was a special ed teacher for 35 years, 7 years at the Kennett Middle High School and 28 years here. Actually, 4 of those 28 years, I was a paraprofessional in this building. I always, when I was a paraprofessional, I feel I did my job very well, but I never looked at myself as, it was always either the special ed teacher or the classroom teacher that I was following. And I believe differently. I believe that well-educated, well-trained classroom teachers and special ed teachers are what makes the difference. Paraprofessionals, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not coming up with the right words. They're very important. They're very important. But some of that information that was read, I don't think is accurate. I was here at the meetings, and we asked about how many one-on-one paras, and we were told there was, I think, just one. I don't know if that's still accurate. So my concern is we don't want anyone in an IEP not to have the services that they need. But I, from my experience, feel that another para could have been cut.
Thank you.
And I'm going to come back another time for the other one.
2 things. Can you give us the final number of paraprofessionals in this building? I guess is the number we're looking for.
For in the budget for next year, there are 5 K to 6
K to 6, not including the preschool.
and 1 for the preschool.
And 1 for the preschool.
Yes.
Thank you. And then you had another answer for us.
So 2.3 cents per thousand for the question.
$2.36.
No, 2.3 cents per thousand.
Thank you. So per $1,000 of budget, a taxpayer is going to pay, no,
For $100,000, it's $2.30. Am I correct there, Heather? Okay.
so for every 100, there are 3 numbers you need. You need the amount of the budget that's being expended, you need the valuation, and you need the rate. So what are the 3 numbers? Yeah. So if I have a $100,000 house and we raise and expend $100,000, that confuses it, $10,000, how much does that add to my tax rate? Or how much in taxes do I have to pay?
Sorry, I thought when we were talking about the median position was 27,000.
Right. What does it cost per $100,000 house?
$2.30. It's 2.3 cents per $1,000 versus town assessment.
Perfect. $2.37 per 100,000. Okay. Thank you. I think that answers the question.
And also for clarification as well, Ed grabbed me. So there's another paraprofessional that's slated for the charter school in our budget.
Which we're obligated to
That is correct.
fund. Yes. So if a child goes to a charter school but has an IEP that requires special education services, charter schools are not responsible for the costs associated with that. That gets passed to us. Did I say that right? Good. Lawyers, give me a thumbs up. I'm a happy camper. Yes. Okay, please.
I'm hoping I can sort of summarize and clear it up. We have 102 students in this school. We have, for staff, one ECE, Early Childhood Educator teacher. We have one.
Why don't you just direct people to the page so we don't have to read the whole thing?
Well, it's not, it's in
Well,
your notes.
it's in my notes.
Well, it's in
not.
here too. What page would we have a summary of the staffing?
The staffing is on the last page.
If you want me to speak directly to the paraprofessionals, I believe there's one for the early childhood education program. That's in the regular education budget. It's in the special education budget. There are 5 more. One belongs to the charter school. No, I'm sorry. There are 5. I'm going to go with 6 because one belongs to the charter school, which means 5 would be in this elementary school, okay? According to our SPED director and the information we received at our meetings, there's 56 IEP hours. These are 56 paraprofessional-driven hours. Identified students have IEPs, so 56 hours. So 2 paraprofessionals can cover that 56 hours, give or take, if you were to do them individually. Oftentimes, kids are grouped together. So that takes up 2. You have one at the charter school, and in reality, you should be reducing 2 paraprofessionals. And not increasing. So again, the hours given to us was 56. A paraprofessional can cover roughly 25, and you do the math.
Thank you. So could you respond to that? That's what I got confused listening to at the hearing a little bit. Number of hours that are necessary and the number of staff who are performing those hours.
There we go. So the number she's referring to, the 56 and a half hours, is accurate. That is what is currently in IEPs for this current school year. So those were the numbers we based it off of. We do know that there's an increase for next year based on projections of students that are coming in from early childhood programming. So in an ideal world, yes, with 56 and a half hours, you could split, 30 hours a week of, if you want to call school time. But you have to take into account scheduling, lunch times, recess times. Not all students, there's not always ideal, there's more ideal times to provide paraprofessional services than others. If a student needs support with writing or academics, it needs to happen during those times. You have a building that's K through 6, those schedules fluctuate and vary based on when the teachers are teaching things. So on paper, yes, that sounds perfect, but you have to take into account the day in, day out of a school day as well.
So there are 5 full-time equivalent paraprofessionals in this building, and right now, roughly 56 hours of required time.
Of shared para support, plus one para that provides 6.5 hours to one student only.
And how many hours does a full-time equivalent paraprofessional work?
Great question. You guys are different from all the other schools, so. Is it
It's 34.5 a week.
34.5 hours a week.
34.5. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Anna Gross. I just have a couple of statements, follow-ups, things for people to think about because
2 minutes.
Yep, I've been a youth development professional for over 10 years. And in my experience and seeing how our population and our children have changed in that 10 years is quite frankly remarkable. What they need, what we need to provide for them is, in all due respect, not what we had to provide for them when my mother was a parent. I've had that discussion many times with her recently, who is also an educator, that we are educating and parenting our children in an entirely different age with entirely different needs than they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or whenever people who have spoken eloquently this evening were working in this school. We voted the school board in to sit and work in the best interests of our community. I feel very strongly with my child that is leaving this school that they have benefited from the paraeducators in this school as a child that has not required IEPs or special intervention. They have provided and allowed my child to have a positive community environment that has allowed her to flourish, be pushed to reach her academics that she needs to, whilst providing a social and emotional aspect to a community-based school. We need to trust our school board, and we need to trust the administrators in this school to be putting forward what they believe is in the right and best interest of the children of this community. We are nickel and diming about the same amount of money as that we were nickel and diming last year. So can we please just move on? Can we trust what our administrators, what our school board is saying? Because at the end of the day, this is a community that does have children in it who are different children with different parenting, different school needs than they were 5 or 10 years ago. So please, let's just all just think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can come a little further down. So people who have not yet spoken get to jump the front of the line, but you have all three spoken, so come on up and we hear further. Yes, you're next, Deb. Go ahead, please.
So the 56 hours were just IEP, I understood, correct? And like Anna said, those are all multiple different students that could need assistance all at the same time. So there's no way that even I understand that you were just saying 2 positions, but there's no way that that could get done. The numbers did not include 504s either. And I did want to say that my information is correct, that things are different. Our teachers, I did say that they do handle one-on-one and group activities for the paraprofessionals. A common misconception is that paras only help students with disabilities, and in reality, by managing specific needs, they free up the teacher to challenge high achievers and support average students, the regular student that goes here. When a para is removed, the teacher's attention is disproportionately pulled toward the most urgent need or behavior, which in these classrooms today is 4 or 5 children at least in each classroom. So the teacher's not going to have time to teach because she's going to be too busy trying to take care of all of the individual IEPs, 504s, and behavior issues. Leaving the rest of the class to just tread water while she deals with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Parsons.
Good evening. I wanted to speak to this because I am the one vote that didn't recommend the budget. So I want to give a little reasoning for why I did that. In terms of the discussion that's happened so far with the 56.5 hours of paraprofessional, I'd like everybody to weigh that. The other information we were given is that I believe it was over 72 hours of special ed teaching services that needed to be provided, and we provide those amount of services with 2 full-time special ed teachers. So we can cover 72.5 or 73 hours of services provided by special ed teachers with 2 people, and yet we're being told it's difficult to cover 56.5 hours with 5. So I think keeping that in perspective, I think is important. We are not looking to take services away from students who are required to have them in an IEP. That's a legal binding situation that we need. And the fact of the matter is that all of our paras, except for the para that would be in the and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in the ECE program, early childhood, are listed under special ed. So those people should be working with special ed, and that should be their primary focus, because that is their position in the budget. There is, I believe, more that could be cut. The media, if you just look at the report card in your report, you can compare the amount of hours students get in all of the different IAs and how much face-to-face time there is with each of those, and all of the rest are 3 days a week.
Thank you.
So I think that's a reasonable cut, is to cut it 1 day.
I think it's shameful to cut that
Thank
position.
you. When you stand up each and every time,
Sarah
introduce
DiMartino,
yourself.
Mooney
Thank
Hill
you.
Road. I think it's shameful for you to cut that position. For what? For $2.30? That's ridiculous.
Thank you. Just so I have this number, Heather, 2.3 cents per 1,000 in valuation is the cost to cover $26,000 expenditure that they were referencing? $27,000. Thank you. 2.3 cents for every $1,000 in valuation to cover a $26,000 expenditure. Thank you. Ms. Brooks?
Cheryl Brooks, couple questions. How much do substitutes get paid a day here?
125 for the day.
Okay. And when you break out a para's pay, my guess is they're not making that much a day. Is there a reason why we can't use paras as substitutes and kind of move them around the building instead of bringing in people from outside? And then my other question is, what is the educational requirement of a para versus a substitute?
So paraprofessionals are, and correct me if I'm wrong here, or I can direct it out, paraprofessionals in our school have to be highly qualified. So it means they have to have either a degree or have passed a, Mike.
Para 2, all our, per our Title I designation, we are a whole school Title I, and all our paraprofessionals need to be Para 2 certified, which would mean that they would have HQT standing, which Jim just mentioned, highly qualified, or have a bachelor's degree.
Okay, and the HQ to HQ, whatever
Highly
you just said,
qualified.
sorry. So is that a online course? Is that a computer course? Is that?
You can reach that through college coursework, or you could reach that through what is called the Parapro assessment, and you could basically take an assessment to meet the standards.
Okay. And then the other thing, I'm just going to take issue with someone said, as opposed to special ed versus regular students, I don't like calling them regular or irregular. Just don't do that.
Thank you.
So Sherry had a question too.
Go ahead, Sharon. There you go.
I just wanted to know if Jim might be able to explain the library media position and why it was cut. I know that the hours, I know I didn't vote that in, but the explanation is it's reasonable, and I feel like some folks don't understand why a day was cut. And it really compared the amount of teaching hours that our library media specialist was teaching for was similar to our gym teacher, our art teacher, and our music teacher, who are not full-time. None of them work here full-time. So it's very hard to, how do we employ someone full-time and the other folks not full-time when their teaching hours are similar?
Thank you. That's no. Thank you. Yeah, and just a reminder, good discussion. The purpose of our meeting today is to determine what will appear on the ballot. And so if anyone wishes to make any adjustment to the dollar amounts that are in the book, you would rise and make an amendment to the dollar amounts if you wanted to have an impact in that way. Otherwise, we can continue very briefly this discussion, but in the end, we have to get to the budget and setting the dollar amounts that will appear on the ballot. Yes?
Wait, I lost it now. As far as, I have to sit down and come
Go
back.
ahead. Yes, ma'am. Sit up close so you don't forget on the walk.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Edie McAndrews, art teacher in this building, and I understand your question, and it's nice to meet you too, but it's apples and oranges. The PE is mandated to have it more hours. He has to have more hours in the building. My job is art teacher. I don't do the library, but the library is so essential to the school. Art, I wish I could have it every day, but it's not in the plan. They get it once a week, so I'm very part-time. I'm retired, I could do that. But I don't think the school could live without having a library.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please.
Adam Price, and I'm just here to make the motion to amend it. I'd like to make a motion to amend the budget to increase the arts and media back to 100% and add the paraprofessional back in.
And I'm going to ask our business manager, what's your title, Heather?
Business administrator.
Business administrator. I'm going to ask our business administrator to do a little bit of arithmetic, and we'll come right back to that quickly, which is not easy for her to do.
Can I ask a question regarding that
Please.
motion? So you said add back in the .2 for the library media, but also a paraprofessional back in.
You did say you cut a paraprofessional, correct?
So, yes, we have. So one was eliminated.
I'd like it to remain.
Okay.
I think the school needs it.
Okay.
I can do it as separate if you'd like, whatever.
Yeah, I'd suggest it,
Okay.
that you separate them.
So my first motion would be to remain at 100% with the arts and media teacher.
At point two.
To
Yeah,
go,
Add the point two.
Add
Yes.
.2, so that's 27,000, correct, Heather?
Is that the $27,000 number? Okay. Yes. So we have a motion and a second.
Jeremy.
And we will now consider an amendment and vote on an amendment to the 100s line item, the first one there, which would change the $1,940,436 number by 27,000. So that number would become $1,967,436 if that amendment passes. Is there further discussion with regard to the media position and adding the .2 back in for a sum total of $27,000? Yeah. If you're going to speak specifically to that, then that's great. Otherwise, we'll vote. So you're going to speak specifically to the 27,000?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, so my name's Jackson DiMartino. I'm a former student here. And I just want to speak on the librarian staff. Not only is she a librarian, she also teaches IT, which is arguably the most important job here in the school considering where the world is going with everything becoming computer technology nowadays. And I honestly think it's even hard to even imagine taking any portion out of her paycheck. She's been here forever, and she's the heart of the whole building. Doesn't matter if she's in the library or running a rehearsal, she has this way of making every student feel like they actually belong. She is hands down one of the kindest people I've ever known. She is one who notices when a kid is having a bad day and knows exactly how to help. In the theater, she gives people the confidence to speak up, as when they're usually too shy to say anything. From my experience doing the plays, helped me bring out the actor that I never knew I had. I probably have lost these skills by now, but that's besides the point. Many people who have gone through her play program say that she has helped give a lifetime lasting love for theater. She has turned the library into a safe spot for all of us, and you can't just replace that. You can't put a price tag on someone who cares this much. Cutting her paycheck isn't just a budget move. It's taking away hard-earned money from the person who supports us the most, not only in the school day, but as well as outside of school. No one will ever know how much she may have helped someone outside of school in a positive way for her play program. It is a way for kids to escape difficult times at home or somewhere else outside of school. Can any of you come to think of someone who is willing to spend so much time outside of their life to run such a great program without expecting them to ask for more money than you're giving her already. She deserves every penny, if not more, for the sacrifices she has made for the school.
Thank you. Are you a voter, by the way? No? That's fine. That's good. Thank you. Not yet. Not yet. You can't match that.
Sorry. I cannot, but I just wanted to speak on behalf of a library media program in that, yes, as far as face-to-face teaching time, I may not be, a library media specialist may not be doing that any more than any other integrated arts, and it is no more important. But it's a different type of job. The library media specialist is also working on behalf of the students on the other times when they're not face-to-face with students. They are providing materials to teachers. They spend time pulling bunches of materials when teachers send you an email, and you've got to pull all that stuff and get them to them, and then they all come back to you, and you have to take care of them. All those materials have to be taken care of. I have to update the iPads. We have trials for new software programs that I run also during the time, but these are all things for students. They may not be exactly what I am teaching, or have the kids in front of me when I'm doing all this stuff, but this is all stuff that needs to be done for the students on the time that I have. Put the boxes of books away, and also there are, the library media standards are very broad, so all the curriculum has to be designed. It's not something that we get provided for, and it's continually changing with the updates in technology. So I think there's a lot to be said for having a full-time media specialist, and I'd hate to see it go away. I'm not going to be here much longer, but you know that I believe the position is important. I believe the kids that walk through the door, whether it's during the time that I'm here teaching or the time that they just come in to get materials and to be here for the teachers for the things that they need, it's worth having a full-time person. So thank you.
Mike Vayu.
Sorry,
Yep.
Henry Flanagan, I'm not sure you introduced yourself. There you go. Mr. Vayu?
I'd just like clarification on why the board chose to cut the position, please.
So there was discussion related to the position, more so of the teaching time that came into play at that point in time.
Thank you. Did you have something? No, I'm just saying microphone. Oh, okay. Yeah, good. Thank you. You reminded me. Briefly, second speakers.
Anna Gross, I just want to, Jackson, way to go. Well done. Jackson did a great job eloquently. It is one of these times that we live in a budget that requires a sharp pencil, and I get how difficult that must be for our school board. And when we're talking about positions versus people that provide something to the community that is within this school, the library and media specialist is one aspect, but I think you all just need to take a look behind you and look at what the current person that occupies this current position provides for this community and the children within this school is remarkable. We talk about soft skills. We talk about the ability to talk in front of a group of people, to put our greatest fears at rest and stand up on a stage in front of people, something my husband would rather the ground opened him up before he did, but we have kids in this school that do it because they have a group of cheerleaders, and the biggest cheerleader of them all is currently our library and media specialist. Mrs. Flanagan just said she's not going to be here forever. I hope we're ready with our sharp pencils to portion out the amount of money that we will have to pay somebody to give what they give, to provide what they provide to the children of this school through media, through arts, through the ability to be in a safe space and for themselves. I hope you're ready for it, folks, because right now we're getting an incredible bargain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so are we ready to vote on the amendment to adjust the number on the 100s line, salary and wages, from $1,940,436 to $1,967,436. I'm going to ask you all if you are in favor of that amendment and that increase of the $27,000. Please raise your hand with your ballot in your hand. Please raise your hand with your ballot in your hand.
Point of order.
Yes?
Are we talking about the right number?
And that's all. We're not doing the paraprofessional yet. To the 100s line. Line 100 on page 52.
So under the object code, salaries and wages.
This will result in ultimately changing Article 2. We will not vote on Article 2 tonight as a whole. We're just voting on that particular line, and we'll total up any changes that have been made. I understand the question.
I just think some people were confused by the number.
We're adding 27 grand to Article 2, one way or the other. Okay, so let's try again. All those in favor of adding 27,000 to the 100s line, salaries and wages, and ultimately to Article 2, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I believe the ayes have it, and I declare it such a vote. You can always challenge my judgment, but we have added 27,000. The number that appears on page 52 on the 100s is now $1,967,436. And our business administrator, can you give me a number for the suggested amendment that would add back in what I believe would be a sixth paraprofessional here within the building? If I understand it correctly, what would your number be? And I recognize it's a little bit approximate.
The number to add a paraprofessional with a two-person plan mid-step would be $77,340.91.
77,300.
40.
We're not doing cents. Okay. So, where is he? Mr. Price, you are where? Right there. So, is that a motion you want to put on the floor? It is. Is there a second to that motion? I have a second, same source. Okay. So the total amount of the line for the 100s, Heather, you will read it out to me if you would. 1,967,436, and if you would add 77,340 to it, I won't do that one in my head. All right, I'm going to do it in my head. 1,967,436 plus 77,340.
The 27's already been added.
1, 13, 14, 02. I get 2,044,776. Well, we're going to go with that one because it's really close if it's not perfect. Okay. And our attorney says it's accurate, and she went to law school because she wasn't that good at math, so we'll go with it. So we are now considering adding another hunk of money for a sixth paraprofessional within the building, an amount of $77,340 to the new number under the 100s of $1,967,436, which would make the final number in the 100s $2,044,776. Is there any final discussion on the addition of that paraprofessional?
I got a question. Paul Jean, are we still adding a paraprofessional to preschool? We're adding a position that they just, I don't know.
Mr. Superintendent, are we adding a paraprofessional to the preschool, or are we moving someone who was in the SAU budget into our budget because we're moving the preschool into the Madison School District budget?
Let me think about that for a minute.
I asked the question way better than you did.
Thank you. Is preschool required by the state?
No.
So why are we adding a paraprofessional to that?
I think so this is not for the preschool, and so we're going to finish this discussion and this vote, and then we're going to have a discussion about the preschool.
Okay.
Promise. Yes. Mr. Superintendent.
Just to follow up on that question, we would need to look at the configurations and if this motion passes and determine the correct spot for that individual.
So you can't guarantee that would be a person in the K through 6 building? You don't know how you would use.
Correct. I think that coming currently, we've had a lot of conversation around budgeting and configurations these past 6 months, and I'd want to look at that.
Okay, and Budget Committee?
Can I just clarify? You're adding a paraprofessional position that the school board hasn't even recommended for next year. So that's number one. But to back up, next year, you're going to be down to 85 students. 85 students. And I'm just trying to put this into perspective because you currently have a paraprofessional in early childhood education. It's in the regular ed budget. You have an additional 6 paraprofessionals under special ed. 1 goes to the charter school, 5 here. This is in your budget now, and the amendment was to add another. I was going the other way. You should be decreasing 2 paraprofessionals because currently you have 56 hours of IEP requirements for these paraprofessionals. So we're going to have 7 paraprofessionals in this building?
Thank you.
Point of order.
It better be a point of order. What is it?
Can we have people who are not at the microphone not speaking, please?
Yep, that is a good request. And we'll have people who've not yet spoken speak next, please. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Andy Rodriguez, resident in Dummy. I also have prior experience in public education. I would like, and experience with a small budget running it. I understand you're looking at numbers. That's a task you were given. There is a false equivalency of hours. You're looking at the X amount of hours required, that equals X amount of people to cover those hours. All hours are not created equal. If you tried to teach me algebra right now, I'm 46, it would still take me twice as long as probably everyone else in this room. Education and growth are nonlinear and uncomfortable, and they take time, and they don't fit into work hours. So when we're looking at adding another body, it's not just an extra person with an extra salary, it's covering all those spare minutes and days that wind up being necessary for the education of these students. Because we're looking at education, not having just enough to babysit in daycare and get them through the school year. You're looking to educate the students so that there's growth. And that cannot be equated to a per second, per minute, per day equation. And it doesn't equal people. That's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks. For what it's worth, I could teach algebra quick.
Michael Brooks, I just have a question, I think probably for the attorney or the superintendent. The amendments we're discussing right at the moment, what would the impact be on the default? Because this terrific form of SB2, you're almost guaranteed to fail. You're offering an opportunity to save over $200,000 in a default. It's a no-brainer for people that are trying to save money. So we're talking about amending the proposed budget. I'm just wondering, would these amendments have any effect if we went to the default?
No, that's my answer, and that's the correct answer. Other questions? Trying to pick up the pace here a little bit. Very specifically, are you speaking in favor or against the $77,000 increase?
I'm speaking in favor, and I just want to clarify, Dan, that you said I was adding. I'm not adding. I'm looking to maintain. This budget reflects a cut of a paraprofessional that I do not want to see cut. It's not an addition of a new paraprofessional. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, quickly?
That was just going to be my question, because I thought the cut was a body that wasn't here. How many? So we're going to have 6 paraprofessionals in the building.
Not necessarily. They're not sure how they would use the person. Go ahead.
No, I just want to clarify a little bit. While we looked at the number of hours that were required, and we're looking obviously for where we can reduce budgets, we're not looking at reducing services to students. With a student population that's declining, we don't, and this was based on what the school board indicated to us, that the paraprofessionals that are in the budget would provide 125 hours worth of services to students in the building. Okay, those 5 paraprofessionals would be able to provide 125 hours. Yes, the IEPs only indicate that we need 56 and a half, but 125 hours is twice what would be required, which would allow those paraprofessionals to have flexibility, be able to spend more time with students, and be able to move throughout the building as the principal and the teachers in the special education department saw fit. The other piece of this is that one of the things that we have asked for the last 2 years, and I know the SAU is working on it, is the ability to be flexible within the entire school district. Sharing resources, because these resources they're precious. We understand that. But resources are going to need to be shared across the entire school district. And this is part of an attempt to start to move towards that model, to be able to bring each school budget down a little bit without infringing on those education benefits, and allow us to share some resources moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, we're about to vote. Quickly, go ahead.
So I just want to make a comment. I am not in favor of this amendment, and for the reason being that this is a recommendation that came to the board from the administration based on student needs and educational needs in the school. So the administration feels comfortable with the level in which they provided to us by reducing by 1 and still providing all of the services needed and required to all the students in the school. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are ready to vote on an increase, amending the 100s line, and by increasing it for $77,340 for the purposes of adding back or having an additional paraprofessional over and above what would otherwise be in the budget. Very quickly.
I just have a clarifying question.
Good.
All right, so currently the preschool, the ECE, does not belong to us. They belong to SAU 13, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so by us giving them a paraprofessional, the K through 6 is losing a paraprofessional, and they're also losing a paraprofessional when one retires this year. Is that correct?
So K through 6,
You,
I'm just going to get clarification.
You want me to address that?
Yes, please.
Sure. So what is, for our paras, our configurations for paras next year is as follows. We have 2 K2 classrooms. We have a para in each of those. 3 4s combined, we have a para in 3 4. 5 6, there are 2 paras in 5 6. And then there is, in this budget, there is an ECE para.
Thank you. 9 and 12 is 21, and I'm an algebra teacher, so 21 defeats 18. The motion to increase the budget by $77,340 is defeated, and we're back to a number in your book on the 100s under salaries and wages of $1,967,436. The $27,000 is still in there. Is there any further discussion with regard to line 100? Seeing none, I will take a pause before we go to the 200s, and very briefly, why don't we just address it now, discuss the change, moving the budget for the preschool from the SAU into the Madison school budget, and summarize that for us as briefly and quickly as you possibly can. Superintendent Whalen, I'm going to call on you, call on whoever else you need.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So the proposed SAU 13 preschool would be under the governance of Madison School District. Currently, it is under the purview of the joint board, so this would, the fundamental change would be the governance issue. In addition, the apportionment that each school sends to the SAU would be backed out. So we would remove the apportionment for the preschool program, Madison would be returned $86,670. So they'll be backed out of the SAU budget, marked as revenue, and that would have no tax impact. So right now, both of those budgets are in place. So you have the preschool budget that's in place in Madison, and you have the preschool budget that's in the SAU, and that is for the sole reason that we need to have a program. And if both of those articles are defeated, we would no longer have a preschool program. The preschool program is in its second year. I believe it is paying great dividends. Just to give a quick snapshot over time, the last few years, looking at 2021 to 2022, our preschool costs were $15,000 from 22 to 23. They were $50,000 from 2023 to 24. It was $88,000, 24 to 25. And that is the first year of the preschool was $88,725. Then when you bring in the apportioned revenue, which was $16,872, that total was $71,853, which is already bringing us below where we were in 2023-24. Currently, we are at 91 in the year 25-26. $91,089 with an estimated revenue of $16,000, keeping us steady at that $75,000 mark. So this program has already shown some leveling off of cost. In addition, it's allowing us to see our young learners early. They're being exposed to school and also having some early identification that helps with some of those down the road preschool costs. So I hope I answered to that, and there was a thorough enough answer, and happy to address any more questions.
Thank you. Just to get to Mr. Jean's question in terms of whether this is legally required, it's accurate to say that for kids 3 to 5 or whatever in there, that there is a legal obligation to provide special education services to those kids. It could be provided, as it has been in the past year or this current year, through the SAU. It could be provided through the town of Madison's budget. It could be provided with a contract, as it historically was with Children Unlimited. But one way or the other, we have to do that provision. By doing it here ourselves, either through the SAU or through the school district of Madison, we get some economies of scale by having non-special ed children in there as well, having more kids, and those kids pay tuition for the service that they receive. So we have to have a program. But we also accept kids who are not legally obligated for us to deliver. Follow up, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul Jean again. So you said the budget's level, but didn't we just add a paraprofessional a little while ago?
We moved someone who was an employee
Right.
of our position that was a position within the SAU budget, and we're moving it into the Madison budget, if that's an accurate statement, because that's what they're recommending. And rather than have it managed by the SAU, which the SAU is not really geared up to do, it'll be managed right here at Madison, and Tamworth and Freedom will pay us for their utilization of it. The net amount will be roughly the same as the cost to Madison, whether it's here, after we get revenue from Tamworth and Freedom, as it would have been if we kept it at the SAU. That's the theory.
But so are they getting a paraprofessional somewhere that has to?
It has a paraprofessional in it, and it still needs a paraprofessional in it, and it's just moving where that paraprofessional is employed, at the SAU or at the town of Madison.
So it does allow us a little more flexibility in those positions. So in the SAU budget, there's a teacher and 2 paraprofessionals for the ECE program. What it allows us to do is utilize the staff in our building here, so we could reduce it to 1 paraprofessional in the early childhood. So it would allow us a little more flexibility to move staff in and out, where right now, because it is a SAU program running in the Madison School District building, we can't filter our staff in and out of that program.
Right. So how many students are in this?
19.
Okay.
Other comments or questions with regard to that? We're going to get to it. If we pass this budget with just the amendment we have so far and so on, the program will be moved to the Madison budget, and we will recoup the funds out of the SAU budget. Right now, it's also in the SAU budget, so that they wouldn't lose it completely.
Mr. Moderator, I have a
Yes.
question. Clarification for the superintendent. Originally, when we were discussing the SAU and the early childhood program, I asked specifically whether or not the budget for the early childhood education program was in the SAU default budget. And I was given the assurance that it was, that's where it would remain. So that because earlier you said if both of these budgets are defeated, we lose the early childhood program. And it's my understanding that that's not true, that it's in the the ECE is in the SAU default budget. Too many initials.
You could just say she's correct, can't you?
Sharon's correct, yes.
Yes.
And if I misspoke, I apologize.
Thank you. Yep, good clarification. Health insurance. You want to just say how big the increase is or something horrible?
23.2% increase in the health insurance this year. So health insurance costs increased due to significant rate changes. Alternate plans and insurers is still under review. Heather, do you want to talk to that at all? Sherwood.
I don't know that it's necessary. You're
Okay.
going to report back to us when you have some information.
So I could just share we're having some very positive conversations.
Okay, thank you. Conversations that require changes to the contracts with the union?
Not necessarily contracts, but plans in which are chosen. They're working very closely together, and it looks like they're coming to a good conclusion that there could be a savings for us, changing to a different plan with all agreement.
Very good. Any other questions about 211 or any amendment proposed?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
I guess I just want to thank the SAU. I understand Heather has done a lot of work in trying to seek alternatives to this huge increase. The push-pull for the ABC, the Budget Committee, is that a family plan for town employees is $31,000. Okay, and they pay a percentage. A family plan for Madison School District employees is $47,000. That's the increase. And the school's employee pays this year 12%. So our push-pull is we have employees on this side with $31,000 and employees on this side. So it's a significant increase for us, and it's hard to justify. We're all, town employees, if you will. The taxpayers are footing the bill. So.
Thank you. Yes. I'm sorry, but my fingers are getting blue now. Are people cold now? Yeah, people are nodding their head. Just a little bit, Mike. Why don't you stand back there and, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Joy Gray. The issue with the health insurance increase with the school, because they're very different plans that are still health trust, both the town is health trust and the school? No, school's different?
School care.
Okay, but it's under the health trust umbrella?
No.
Isn't that, it wasn't this, I thought the increase on the school side was due to the kind of health, that the certain health trust divisions or sub-companies, whatever, kind of blew up, and that certain school districts were caught in this shortage that had happened, but that's not what affected Madison
We
Elementary?
were caught in a shortage, yes.
Okay.
It was an assessment done from the prior year, so we were billed on an assessment through school care that had shortfalls in the reserves, and they assessed us in the subsequent year, so in the current year, making that very challenging for budget purposes.
But that happened across, not just to Madison, that happened, that's what I'm trying to say.
There were
is that-
about 60 to 70 other school districts that
Yeah,
were
yeah,
involved.
so it's not like you guys souped up to a super great plan or anything, you just happen to be, fall under this kind of change that happened to a lot of school districts.
And that happened in August. This 23% increase is what they're giving us for next year.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. That's 211, and we can go back to any line you want to, but I'm going to keep moving. The 200s, the remaining other benefits excluding health insurance. Any comments or questions or amendments? And again, we can go back if you do think of something. 300's purchased or contracted professional services.
So big driver
decline.
change here.
Yeah.
Significant savings were found last year, and as we've always looked at transportation, we bid out our transportation, and a new transportation provider that we chose is of about $100,000 savings there as well.
Maintenance and repair. Comments, questions, or amendments? Tuition, legal, insurance, utilities. And of course, tuition means paying Conway for middle school and high school students. That's the big number. The number goes up and down as per the contract and the number of kids. Yes?
Tuition paid to Conway School District actually went up 60,000 combined. The middle school went down, the high school went up. That big decrease is actually due to no alternatively placed students, so no out-of-district tuition.
Special education savings.
Yeah.
Correct. 600, supplies, materials, books, software. Comments, questions, amendments? Furniture and equipment. Dues, fees, and transfers. That's where you get into the food budget.
Food service transfer,
Yeah,
correct.
and we're not talking about that because I get confused whenever I do.
You're the boss.
I don't know anyone who truly understands that. And debt service for our last remaining or current bond issue. So if the next step is to confirm the final number and see if there's any final amendment that anyone wishes to make. And Heather, you're adding that up, adding the 27,000 to the $7 million number. Mr. Vayu, comment, question?
Yeah, quick question, the 7,000% increase, what is that?
So we are on a default budget right now. Because furniture and equipment could not be in, because they weren't considered an expenditure from last year, those lines were zeroed out. Am I correct in this, Heather Sherwood? So it's, do you want to answer this, Heather? Just why that's up? I have it in my head.
I think it's clear. So if you look at previous years, 17,000, 12,000, then the town voted the default budget, and they're not allowed to throw in furniture and stuff in the default budget. So it went to $150, and that's why it went to 11,000. 11,000 is still less than the previous 2 years.
Thank you.
Sorry, Heather. Comments, questions? No. Then Heather, what would our number be if we flip back to the warrant and we look at Article 2, the number that is in bold of $7,343,153 on page 2 now becomes what?
7,370,000. 7,370,153.
So I'll say it again, $7,370,153 becomes the number that appears in Article 2 and will appear on March 10th at the polls when we vote. The number below that, the default budget, will stay exactly the same. And if the $7,370,000 does not pass, then the school board will have $7,114,000 to expend. Final comment?
I do want to make one comment because I'm not sure everybody necessarily reads this and interprets this, and the state guys make you write things the way they do. Understand when it talks about that $400,000 estimated for grants, that's money that they're seeking in grants. So the total number that you're really, in your head, you should be thinking of is not the 7,370. Also understand that that would get decreased by 400,000 should they get those grants, and it would only be 6.9 million. And the same with the 7.1 million. Just so you understand how that $400,000 works from the warrant article standpoint.
Thank you. That's helpful to everyone. Thank you. So there's no further action to be taken on Article 2. We don't vote on it at this point. It won't be voted on until March 10th. But I declare that the Article 2 will appear on the ballot as it appears in your book, with the exception that the dollar amount will be for the primary budget of $7,370,153. Article 3, shall the voters of Madison School District adopt the school administrative unit budget of $1,527,007 for the 26-27 school year, in which, I'm going to say of which, $527,065 is assigned to the school budget of this district. The school board recommends this appropriation, 500. The advisory budget committee does not recommend this appropriation, 500. The way this works is twofold. One is that you can't amend it because the folks in Tamworth and Freedom have to vote on the same number. We all have to vote on the same number, and so we can't make any change to the number that appears, number one. Number two, in order for it to pass, the $1,527,000 number, all three towns' total vote will be taken into consideration, will determine whether it passes. If it's defeated, you get to the next paragraph. This year's adjusted budget of $1,438,672 with $495,120 assigned to the school district budget will be adopted if the article does not receive a majority vote of all the district voters voting in this administrative unit. That is, in fact, the default budget. I don't know why it doesn't use the word default at this point, but I will leave it to the attorney to confirm to me that that is an accurate way to write it. It's fine the way it is. So I will add that because the budget that we have voted on under Article 2 includes the preschool, that these numbers stay the same, even though they include the preschool in it, but we'll get the money back from the SAU. It goes out and comes right back. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, that's a very fair way to say it.
Wow, that was good. Okay. Because this all had to be set at this point. Are there any questions or comments considering how little we can actually do to Article 3? Article 4. So I hereby declare Article 3 shall appear on the ballot as it appears in your book. Article 4, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $15,000 to be added to the Special Education Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This sum to come from June 30 unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, no amount to be raised from additional taxation. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. The current school education Capital Reserve Fund balance, excluding interest earned from 6/30/25, is $235,270.50. School Board recommends this appropriation 410. Advisory Budget Committee recommends this appropriation 500. So just, again, to keep it clear, we're just looking to throw another relatively modest sum, $15,000 in there, because there are years where a kid moves to town and needs a $200,000 placement. And so rather than deal with that at that point and an emergency situation, we have a fund set aside, and I will leave it there. We have every right to increase or decrease the $15,000 number if you wish through amendment. The key point here is that at the end of the year, typically there's a surplus. Some monies are not expended. A position is vacant for a while, whatever it might be. There's a surplus at the end. The money to fund this will come from that surplus. If there is no surplus at the end of the year, there'll be no $15,000 added to the fund. But don't fool yourselves. If the $15,000 is there in surplus, if it weren't used and put into this fund, it could be used and would be used to reduce taxes in the future. So in the end, it's costing us $15,000 to do this. It's just a matter of the timing of when that occurs. Further discussion, questions with regard to Article 4? Seeing none, Article 4 will appear on the ballot as it appears in your book. Article 5, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to be placed in the previously established Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund. Current building maintenance CRF balance, including obligations and excluding interest earned from 6/30, is $145,558.46. The school board recommends this appropriation 500. Advisory Budget Committee recommends this appropriation 500, adding 80 grand to the maintenance of millions of dollars worth of building. Are there any questions, comments, or amendments associated with Article 5? You'll note this is not reliant upon a surplus at the end of the year. We could use the surplus, but if not available, we will be taxing ourselves for the $80,000. In fact, we will be voting to tax ourselves the $80,000 if we choose to pass this. Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to take that from our unspent fund balance rather than through taxation?
I think I said it wrong. I don't believe you're allowed to because this says raise and appropriate the 80 grand. So you would be taxing yourselves the 80 grand, and then at the end of the year, if there was a surplus, it can be used to reduce taxes at that point. So I was sloppy in how I said that. Good catch. No further discussion on Article 5. I hereby declare Article 5 will appear as it appears in your book on the ballot. Article 6, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate? And before I read this whole thing, in the back corner, there's a stand-up poster thing like you had in your 7th grade science project that talks about the schoolhouse, the corner schoolhouse fund and fundraising associated with it and that historic building, and you can read up on that. I should have pointed it out earlier. Feel free to tiptoe over there and take a look. But it relates to Article 6, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in the previously established Madison Corner Schoolhouse Capital Reserve Fund. The current Madison Corner Schoolhouse CRF balance, excluding interest earned, is $50,394.37. The school board recommends this appropriation 410. The Advisory Budget Committee recommends this appropriation 410. Is there any discussion, amendment, comment, question on Article 6? So we're just feeding that, and we will ultimately ask at a school district meeting that perhaps I will not be moderating, whether for someone, the committee that was established to evaluate next steps with that building, to report back and see where we are with regard to funding.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
There is a report from the committee
that's right.
in the packet as well.
Thank you. So you do have some reading material on the topic. Thank you, and thanks for the work of the committee members. Article 7, did I say Article 6 shall appear on the ballot as it appears in your book? If so, it will. Article 7, shall the school district vote to authorize the school board to apply for, accept, and expend grants and other funds may become available during the fiscal year from the state of New Hampshire, federal government, or other local or private sources for the purpose of funding school district programs and services, and to appropriate the funds, the amounts necessary for such purposes, with such funds to be accounted for in the special revenue fund or grant fund as required, and further to authorize the school board to expend such funds without further vote, with no amount to be raised by taxation. The school board recommends this Article 500. The Budget Committee would not normally comment on this one since it doesn't involve raising of money. But we are authorizing the school board to accept these funds and to expend it with their own authority. They don't have to come back to the town, and that's generally worked out well, but it can create some questions. So is there a dollar amount that if you accept a grant over that dollar amount and you choose to expend it, where you have to hold a public hearing, or do you have the option to have the public hearing? You weren't ready, Megan. Where are you, Attorney Megan? By policy. Okay, all right. So it's not an obligation, but normally the school board and the select board would come back to us if only through a public hearing and give us the opportunity to comment if it was a big hunk of money. Is there any discussion, comment with regard to Article 7? You're correcting me? Okay. I will do that, and I will also have an editorial comment. Thank you. Article She's terrific, but she has to deal with the hand she's been dealt. Is there any further discussion with regard to Article 7? Seeing none, we will place Article 7 on the ballot as it appears in your book. Before we go to Article 8, we're going to go back to Article 2, and we're going to look at the parentheses that Chairperson Schilling helped us understand. And in parentheses under Article 2 is this $400,000 with regard to grant expenditures and offsetting and all that stuff. My guess is our business administrator and our superintendent, in an effort to make sure we were as fully informed as possible, and the budget committee and school board to make sure we were as informed as possible, felt that that parentheses would provide us with valuable information. Our attorney points out that there is statutory wording associated with the operating budget, and that it does not comply with the statutory wording that the legislature has dictated we must use, even though it provides us with useful, youthful information that's helpful to us. I would leave it in and say stick it to the DRA and the Department of Revenue Administration, which definitely overreaches in its attempt to control what we do at our school meetings and our town meetings. And I find it deeply offensive that we are unable to add helpful, useful information to an article which is fully and detailed and in all other ways meets the statutory requirement. Having said that, I would be probably defending the town in court because no one would want to pay for an attorney to do that. And so you do have the option to move to amend the wording in Article 2 to eliminate the parentheses section. I am at your mercy. What would you like to do? Would you like to move to amend and eliminate the parentheses, or would you like to say, DRA, this is what the town of Madison wants, and George is going to see you in court and defend this if you choose to overrule you? What's that?
I second that motion.
Does anybody want to move to amend this? No. Megan, I've got your phone number. I'm going to track you down when I stand before the state Supreme Court as we appeal this.
I do have a question.
Go
Is there
ahead.
an alternative for being able, if someone were to motion to take it out, is there an alternative to still educate the voters when it comes time to the ballot box to understand that $400,000?
I assume not, Megan? Is there a whole additional language you could put in here that would provide the information?
I want you all to know that my goal is to say nothing at this meeting, and so I deeply apologize. Unfortunately, no, in the Warren article, you can't add any language that's explanatory. You can do it ahead of time, right? You can publicize things on Facebook and have community sessions, but you can't add it to the Warren article because it's prescribed by statute.
And just for fun, Megan, if this went to court, if the DRA said, no, we're not going to accept this, you have to have another special meeting in order to confirm the budget that you have, and we went to court, wouldn't we win?
That sounds like so much fun, my head might explode.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I have no
That's
legal
my
answer
view.
to that.
I don't believe the DRA would dare do it. That's my completely incompetent legal opinion. I didn't go to law school.
What are they going to do?
So,
Yeah, no, they would say you have to have a special school district meeting.
Is that $400,000 different than the last article we were just talking
Good
about?
question. That's probably what I should really ask.
No,
So,
that is-
I thought you were offering an
The-
alternative because we had to change that language.
No, I think the problem is, the reason the 400,000 is in here and not simply addressed at the end, what's the rationale?
So, depending on which legal counsel you talk to, excluding Megan, the one we just discussed, Article 7, is for unanticipated funds, so grants that come that we were not expecting. That 400,000 is to cover the grants we are expecting, which for us is the title funding 1, 2, and 4 in IDEA and preschool. We don't know the amount of those. It's our best guess as to what we should get based on past, and it's muddied by length of term. One of them's 15 months, and the other's 27, or the other 3 are 27. But
Thank you.
yes.
and
During COVID, many school districts received unanticipated funds, and they had to have special meetings in order to be able to expend those funds, which, if you remember, was a nightmare because we couldn't actually get together. So trying to have a special meeting was really difficult. So putting this on the warrant allows the school district to expend those unanticipated funds without having that special meeting. So they are, the 400,000 and the ability to expend funds in Article 7 are separate.
Thank you. All right, good. You've given me something to do this summer. So we have made it through Article 7. We're on Article 8 to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to support the completion of Phase 2 of the Madison Elementary School Playground Project, including removal of remaining deteriorated playground equipment and the installation of new playground equipment, including ADA accessible equipment, with said funds to be raised through local taxation. The school board recommends this Article 000. This is a petition article. Normally, a petition article would have the lead petitioner's name appearing. Who's the person who's first on the petition? Does anybody know? That's you. Introduce yourself, please.
Ann Perry.
Ann Perry.
I had gone back to the...
I'm sorry. So as the lead petitioner, you have the opportunity to speak first to this. But this is not a school board article. This is a petition article. You got 25 signatures, and you put this on here. It's a great thing, use of democracy in action. So please proceed. You get to speak first.
Okay. I had gone to the school board meeting back in November to inquire about the current playground piece of equipment that has not been replaced yet.
A little closer to the microphone.
It was agreed upon at that meeting that there would be a warrant article put in place at the next town meeting to raise and appropriate the funds to replace that piece of equipment that's deteriorating and replace it with a piece of equipment that is inclusive and ADA compliant. I was a little disheartened to see that it had been pulled at the following meeting. I know that some people have the idea that it's not necessary because we don't currently have a student with a mobility issue, but that could change tomorrow. And if it did, we would be scrambling as a town to replace it on short notice.
Can everybody play on it?
Yes, it would be for everyone, completely inclusive to all students, and it's not just the students. It is a public playground when school is not in session, so it's something for our entire community to use. And from a non-financial standpoint, every student and child in this town deserves to be able to have a safe place to play and grow with their friends.
Thank you. We can debate and we can amend, no, it's going to appear on the ballot, but I mean, you can amend it to 0, you can amend it to $200,000, but it's open. But this is what's going to appear unless there is an amendment made to it. And there would be, in this case, a request for a recommendation from both the Budget Committee and the school board, because it does have a monetary amount in it. So when you see this article on the ballot in March, you will see recommendations from the two bodies. Is there any further discussion or question about it?
I do have a question for the petitioner. Can you tell me what that $80,000 number is based on? Do you have quotes or?
Please, so everyone can hear at home.
It was based on quotes that were received by the school district, was it 2 years prior to, or a year prior to, Heather? Yes.
So you do have quotes to
Yes,
support it,
they were
but they
based off
might
of
be out
quotes.
of date.
Yeah, but they were current. No, they're current now.
They're good now?
Mm-hmm.
In the plans.
So that's my question. I don't remember. Is this already something that's accounted for, if you will, in the CIP?
No. It is not currently accounted for in the capital improvement plan.
And because last year, the fundraising and so on, in the end, we raised the money to do the first half or to do a portion of it, and that's what triggered finishing the job from the petitioner's perspective.
Correct.
And you chose to pull it for what reason? Just money?
It was a financial decision.
and perhaps the lack of a student who absolutely needed it.
And if we had a need for that, it could be funded through an equity grant for our business administrator, so we could get grant funding to replace that rather than tax.
But we couldn't get the grant funding until we had a handicapped student who would be in need of it. Well, that's a pretty ugly way to get grant funding. I'm just, you won't have me doing this much longer, I promise. So 40 years is probably 32 years too long. So further discussion, questions about any other topic here? We'll undoubtedly be hearing more about the potential tuition agreement, but we will not be voting on a potential tuition agreement with Conway or anywhere else until the next school meeting. It's a year away before we would be voting. Or do you think there's the potential for a special meeting that will be necessary?
I don't foresee a special meeting. We've been advised that we don't need a ballot vote on tuition agreement, that the school district, the school board would be agents to enter into an agreement differently from the way it was 20 plus years ago. But we do plan to hold public hearings on decisions once we've come closer to them.
So 20 years ago, I stood up here with a much less competent attorney advising us. And we voted as a town, to enter into a 20-year agreement with the town of Conway with very specific language, with everyone having the contract available to them, and it's in our books now. And you're telling me we can enter into a multi-year contract with, I'll say, the town of Conway for millions of dollars a year for half the education of our students and not have any vote by the citizens of the town?
That's what we were advised.
I'm
No.
horrified.
Not by Megan, because we had to go with outside counsel that did not represent Conway or us, because.
Understood.
Mike.
Mr. Brooks?
I was just going to try to answer your question. I think it's because we don't have a bond issue this time. The one you're speaking of, we were building a high school.
But we weren't. We were simply entering into tuition agreement and Conway. I get what you're saying.
But the largest part of the pie in that contractual arrangement was paying for the bond.
No, it wasn't. The annual amount that we paid was a relatively small portion of the overall tuition. It was a great big hunk of money, $50, $40 million, whatever it was. So you're absolutely right. But the idea that...
I'm with you 100%.
I know you are. I know you are. If I really enjoy a resolution on the part of this body that said to our school board they shouldn't enter into a contract without a vote of the townspeople of Madison, and that's completely inappropriate of me to request that, since I am the moderator and not taking a political position on this in any way, shape, or form. And laughter is not appreciated at this point in the process.
George?
Yes?
I'd like to just say that, and I agree with what you wrote in the paper, that I think we really should look into forming a cooperative school district when we renegotiate.
Thank you. All right, I won't say anything else. Unless there's any further business to come before the town, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Anna Gross, I just want to ask a clarifying question in regards to the school board's intent for communicating about the high school and the middle school agreement. Are there plans to present to us how you're feeling and what data that you have and what's guiding your decision-making? Because if there's not going to be a vote, we need to be fully informed in order to be able to guide you as the representatives of this town and community. And if those votes are going to be made without any public input or awareness or decent communication and notification of meetings and those things, I just would like to ensure that this is going to be a publicly transparent process. We only get the chance to do this 20 years ago, and now we get to do it again. And so making sure that it is in the best interests of all of us. And that's what I want to make sure, is that there is a plan and that the school board intend to be transparent.
So we are currently negotiating with school districts for a tuition agreement. We plan to, once we've come to some conclusion, Sherry, myself, Mike, and Heather are the ones sitting at that table. Because it's negotiations, bringing everybody into the fold in the beginning is very difficult. But once we've come to, and before we sign an agreement, we plan to hold a public hearing to hear what the town of Madison has to say. But we want to have an agreement pretty set down before we sign off on it and bring it to the town, because it could change things drastically either way if we try to make it completely public right now.
And you understandably have to negotiate in private. We just agreed that we're dealing with $7 million that we're going to spend. Half that money is going to go to Conway, and half that money in the future will go to Conway or wherever we send our high school kids. Half of this budget, and we're abdicating completely ownership of commitment of that $3.5 million a year forevermore. I'm absolutely floored that would even be considered and considered to be acceptable. And I recognize we don't have the attorney who gave that recommendation here. Superintendent?
Attorney sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. No.
You should have a law degree at this point.
I just wanted to provide some clarity. Chairperson Curran is correct that it's the board's duty to educate students, regardless if the vote passes or fails. It's still the board's responsibility to educate our middle high school students. The board can enter into short-term agreements to pass to make sure that those students are receiving educational services, and depending on how negotiations proceed, given length of contract, there's still some areas that we're working through. So depending on what that length looks like, that could determine whether it is moved forward by the board or goes to the voters, depending on length. I think that's the simplest way I could put it.
Interesting. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Amy Power. I was curious, is there a way that we as the town people can be able to gain access to vote on these big decisions?
Well, I think the superintendent is making a point which makes sense, that that the school board has an obligation to make sure 7th through 12th graders get educated. And if we ran out of time on our existing contract and we have to make sure those kids go to school next year, then they could and would have some legal right and authority to move forward and enter into perhaps a one-year agreement and extend the existing agreement, whatever. My hope would be, based on what they're hearing and what I hope you and people who are watching at home will convey to the school board members, is don't enter us into a 5, 10, 20-year agreement without bringing it back to the townspeople. I hope that's a message that they take very seriously.
Received.
Yes, and a lot of us just aren't happy with the current situation, so we're hoping you take that into consideration.
And I should be clear. I know some of these people, and my feeling is they will try to represent us well in that way and make sure we have our opportunity to have a say in this. Yes.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm on that committee as well, and I have a middle schooler and high schooler, so I 1000% will not be entering into any agreement without the public's knowledge of what we have learned, and hopefully they show up to provide input in their decision.
Thank you. Yes.
Nicole Nordland. I guess this is a question for Dr. Whalen on page 76 about the student enrollment. I just want to make sure I'm reading it correctly, because there's asterisks and I don't see anywhere to look for an explanation if there was supposed to be one. That out of 260 Madison students, 58 are alternatively schooled, either homeschooled or charter schooled. And I want to make sure I'm reading that right, and if there was a further explanation with those 4 asterisks, where would I look for that?
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, so the asterisk represents when that count was taken, and it was taken on October 1st. But thank you, that should have been clarified, so I appreciate that question.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I have to add also, since I asked exactly the same question, if you just take a look there at homeschool students 19, Northeast Woodland 13, and Robert Frost 7, those are clearly Madison students who are not attending our school here. The 19 in the Freedom account, we don't know. So that some of those other places, they'd be receiving Freedom account monies. So it's not clear that you would add another 19 students to the group. They would potentially overlap. Thank you. I think that's important to note, but the numbers are significant. I am about to declare the meeting closed. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor say aye. Thank you very much. Good job. Cold out there.
We need to, yeah, we